Today, we will take a closer look at the notice and note strategy of memory moment. When you are reading and the author interrupts the action to flash back to the past and tell you a memory, you should stop and ask yourself, why might this memory be important? The answer will tell you about the theme or conflict, or might foreshadow what will happen in the story. While I read this excerpt, I want you to follow along. Take notice when you hear the text pause at the story in the present time to give the reader a flashback or memory moment. We will discuss what memory moments are shared and the meaning behind it in a bit. But first, I want to give you some background information before reading this passage. Hope Was Here is a story about a girl named Hope who once again must leave a place she called home to move. This excerpt is from a part of the story where she and her aunt are getting in their car to be moving to their latest location. We walked across the street to the old Buick that was packed to the hilt with everything we owned and had a U-Haul trailer chained to the back. It was May 26th. We were heading to Mahoney, Wisconsin to start work in the diner there that needed a professional manager and cook. Addie was short on waitresses, me, and was giving us an apartment. The man we were going to work for had been diagnosed with leukemia and needed help fast. I don't mean to sound ungenerous, but working for a close to dying man didn't sound like a great career move to me. I had to leave school right before the end of the undistinguished sophomore year, too. I hate leaving places I love. We were about to get into the car just as Morty the cab driver parked his yellow taxi. Good old Morty. The first time I waited on him, he loosened his belt a notch before he even looked at the menu. I knew he had a true believer. I raised my hand to a great tipper. You always took good care of me, kid. He shouted this from across the street as a UPS truck started honking at him to move his cab. I tried, Morty. Wherever you go, you'll do okay. You got heart. I wonder what kind of customers I'd get in Wisconsin. So did you hear the memory moment? The part of the story that talks about the first time the main character, Hope, was Morty's waitress is where the memory began. I know that memories are important to characters just as memories are important to each of us. In this part of the story, seeing Morty reminds her of the first time she had waited on him. When I see a memory break the flow of a narrative, I ask myself, what does the memory moment tell us? Even though it doesn't seem to be a major memory, it still is in the story for a reason. But why? I think it helps the reader see how Hope is feeling about leaving. When I read the part of the story where she wonders what kind of customers she'll face in Wisconsin, it seems that she is worried about it. This memory helps us to see that she is leaving a happy and comfortable situation to something new filled with uncertainty and anxiety. This could point us to the theme, conflict, or foreshadow something that might happen later in the story. Let's take a look at another memory moment from the same story. As I read the slide, follow along and listen for the part of the story where the author takes a break from the present time to insert a memory. She grabbed my hand and gave it a squeeze. Addie never promised that life would be easy, but she did promise that if I hung with her, the food would be good. Believe me when I tell you, I know about survival. I was born too early and much too small, 2 pounds and 5 ounces. For the first month of my life, I kept gasping for air, like I couldn't get the hang of breathing. I couldn't eat either, couldn't suck a bottle. The doctors didn't think I would make it. Shows what they know. My mother didn't want the responsibility of a baby, so she left me with Addie, her older sister, and went off to live her own life. I've seen her exactly 3 times since I was born, when she visited on my 5th, 8th, and 13th birthdays. Each time she talked about being a waitress, what made a good one, great hands and personality, what were the pitfalls, crazed cooks and being on their feet all day, and what was the biggest tip she ever got, $300 from a plumber who had just won the instant lottery. Each time she told me, "Hun, leaving you with Addie was the best thing I could have done for you. You need constants in your life." She had a different hair color each time she said it. Addie's been my number one constant. Because of this, I don't buy into traditional roles. My favorite book when I was little had pictures of baby animals like foxes and lambs and ducklings who were being raised by other animals like dogs, geese, and wolves. Addie said it was our story. Did you notice the memory moment? When I see a memory break the flow of the narrative, I ask myself, what does the memory moment tell us? This memory tells us a lot about Hope's relationship with her mother. From this memory, we learn about the 3 times, only 3 times, that Hope's mother visited her. We also learn that Hope can't really rely on her mother the way we think most children should be able to. Instead, she relies on Addie, who provides for her. We can conclude that Addie is very important to Hope. Knowing this information could lead us to the conflict through the strategy of foreshadowing. For example, what if Hope no longer has the support from Addie? This would be very hard for Hope. This memory could also be leading us to the theme. Maybe this entire story is about the unusual bond between Hope and her Aunt Addie. Either way, we need to pay close attention to memory moments when they occur. To conclude, when you are reading and the author interrupts the action to flash back to the past and tell you a memory, you should stop and ask yourself, why might this memory be important? The answer will tell you about the theme, conflict, or might foreshadow what will happen in the story.